So Richard Sherman, as we all know, he gave a fantastic interview to Aaron Andrews right after the game, and now people are calling him a thug. So here was his response in a presser. I believe this was just a day ago on Wednesday on the term thug. So if we can pull up the quotes very quickly. It seems like it's the accepted way of calling somebody the N-word. I saw a hockey game where they threw the puck aside and just started fighting. I saw that and I'm like, so I'm the thug? Okay, so come back really quickly, then we'll go to the next quote. Colin Cowherd made this point Monday morning about the Canucks Flames line brawl, where literally first period they drop the puck, all 5 guys on each team start going at it.
They sent out like auto mechanics and MMA guys.
The Flames did, yes. The Flames.
He sent out the bruisers.
The Flames sent out 5 goons, and obviously, Canucks coach John Tortorella is not going to put out their finest players. They're going to put out their goons, and they did. So I completely agree with Richard Sherman. He's making a fantastic point on that front. We have more, and then we'll get into our take. I know some quote-unquote thugs, and they know I'm the furthest thing from a thug. I've fought that my whole life, just coming from where I'm coming from. Just because you hear Compton, you hear Watts, you hear cities like that, you think thug, he's a gangster, he's this, that, and the other. And then you hear Stanford, and they're like, oh man, that doesn't even make sense. That's an oxymoron. You fight it for so long, and to have it come back up and people start to use it again, it's frustrating. Ben, you're right there. So I completely agree with Richard Sherman. I love his story. I love the fact that teams were trying him out. At least half the league was trying him out as a wide receiver in the NFL draft, and now he's made something of himself as a Pro Bowl elite corner. But, I mean, do you guys agree with what he's saying? Drew, I'll start with you.
100%. I mean, there's everything he's saying is kind of like, I'm glad somebody finally said it about that. I mean, there's nothing about his post-game interview except for his emotion that you can't. What if he said that in a monotone voice? I don't think it'd be as big of a deal. It's just the fact of how he said it. Even if he called Michael Crabtree mediocre or whatever, the way he said it, I think people just took way more offense to it.
And what would be the criticism of him being monotone? Well, does he even care?
Yeah.
Is he even into the game?
Right. He just won the game to go to the Super Bowl, basically the last play, and then it's kind of like, you want him to turn down his emotion. And he didn't swear, he didn't cuss.
Right,
he didn't say
kudos to him.
He didn't say anything disrespectful. I mean, maybe towards Crabtree, but I mean, for most things. So it's kind of like they're trying to use an excuse or try to find something just because, unfortunately, it could be a little racial, because I don't think, because he's from Stanford. He went to Stanford.
Yeah.
He's one of the highest GPAs from Stanford. He had like 3.9, something crazy. But it's just, honestly, right away, people just assume just because the way he looks and the way he says, like, he expresses himself, that he is a thug.
So you're telling me if that was Jason Sehorn, they would not basically call him a thug?
No,
that's what you're saying?
Absolutely not. I think the dreads obviously have something to do with it, because I think a lot of people correlate dreadlocks to some sort of gangster, like drug dealers or something like that. So I feel like a lot of stuff is just used in a way where, it's taken the wrong way. Like, just because, always this cliche thing, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
You would never, if you saw him on the street, even myself, you wouldn't be like, oh, he went to Stanford. You'd be like, get out of here. But you never know. So it's kind of like you said, it's just frustrating. Yeah. And I feel the same way. It's frustrating because you're just like, keeps coming back up.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't like was when he did the choke and, he slapped Crabtree on the ass. Like, I mean, that was sort of low balling.
We have decomplicated a complicated issue. I don't understand why we have to do that.
Good point.
Richard Sherman, in the moments after the game, acted foolishly. White, black, or any way, he was screaming, which, again, we like the emotion to some extent, and he was directly critical of a guy he'd just beaten. It was classless. And if Jason Sehorn did it, I would think it was totally classless, and I think most people would too.
Would you label him a thug?
No. Then we get into what the long history in this country of continuing history in this country of racism, and most people know you can't use the N-word now, right?
Yeah,
they got that. So as always, as we've done for a long time, we use code words. Code words used to be lazy, and there were many others, but that would be one of them. And here now, thug has sort of replaced that. It's a way to say he's one of the bad black guys, not one of the good black guys, one of the black guys you can't trust. First of all, and to me, in my warped sense of racial awareness, and we all harbor these preconceived notions, the good people among us, and in this case, I'll put myself there, work hard to get past it because we know that they're flawed. I see dreads and I think, oh, cool, guy smokes weed, right? He's gonna be all right, right? This is a guy who's gonna be chill. So, but again, so many people are so instinctively afraid of black people and not trusting them. They see dreads; it's something that they can't have. So, I get your point. I think it's wrong, but I get your point. So, I don't know why we can't say Richard Sherman alarmed me when he said that, because I was like, boy, that all I thought was that's classless. And the odd thing is I thought, I like that guy. Why is he being classless? Like everything I knew about Richard Sherman kind of made me like him. I knew that he had a significant ego, but what really good defensive back hasn't? In that job. So I just think we can say, hey, look, he shouldn't have said that. He has certainly apologized sufficiently to this point. Enough. You don't have to apologize anymore.
Right.
And then now like so many, I think now you end up being on his side because the reaction is so disproportionate. If you just take I was watching the game with you, Rick, and other Niners fans, and their reaction was totally normal.
Don't forget Neil Strom either.
Right, and your dad, Neil Strom, and their reaction was what it should have been. Like, dude, that is ultra classless in this. You just made a big play. It was a chance. It was a chance to be a man, right? And say hey, they made a throw. They made a throw. Threw it at the wrong guy. They threw it at the wrong guy, and we're going to the Super Bowl. And take that. And then everyone would have been like, Richard Sherman!